네, 안녕하세요. 솔유학 이민의 그레이스입니다. 오늘은 찰튼 브라운의 에이지드케어를 소개해드리겠습니다. So could you please explain about the difference between Certificate 3 and Certificate 4 in individual support?
Alright, so we have Cert 3 in individual support and Cert 4 aging support. A Certificate 3 in individual support would be an entry-level course. Okay, if you want to work in aged care, that's where you first come in. And then the Certificate 4 in aging support would be studying more units, like for example, palliative care, how to look after someone who is or end-of-life care. You will also probably do some medication units, talking about networking as well. So with the Cert 3, you'll have 13 units, and then for a Cert 4 course, you will be doing 18 units. So that's 5 extra units from the Cert 3.
So could you tell me about the attendance requirements, balance of the theory and placement?
In terms of attendance, you need to have at least 80% of all your classes. In terms of balance of theory, I have lectures, we have PowerPoint presentations, we have practical lessons in class, like what we call simulations. Say, for example, a class about a client living with dementia. We try to do some role plays of someone who has dementia or living with dementia, and then we see how do you adjust or how do you work around the situation and all that stuff. So we have simulations, we have lectures, we also have group activities. So, we try to balance everything and not just standing there, me talking and talking. I also give a chance for students to share what they have. I also ask them about what is aged care in your home country. So when we talk about diversity and communication, we ask, what is aged care like, for example, in your home country? How is it similar, or are there any differences between aged care in Australia to do in the classroom?
So should students attend at least 2 days a week?
Yes, okay. That's basically, you need to have at least 20 hours of classroom experience, okay? It's also a requirement in the student visa. Yeah, we can make considerations, but as a requirement, you need to have at least 80% of your classes for the units.
Does Charlton Brown arrange the placement for students, or do they need to find themselves?
We have partner facilities for students to go into placement. If you're living far away, we can have the option of maybe you can find something for yourself, and then we will be organizing placement for you. Within the city, we have partner facilities, north side, south side, that we send students into for their vocational placement.
What is the hourly wage for AIN, especially like daytime, nighttime, or weekdays and weekends?
An average is around 24 to 25 per hour, dollars per hour on day rate. Towards the afternoon, probably looking around 26, 27. If you go at night, you probably go at 29. If you go casual, then you will be earning more. On a Sunday rate, you get times 1.5 of your usual rate. Then 175 on a Sunday. And then for a public holiday, you get double the rate. Some will give you more based in your experience, okay? But there's always like an entry level, which is around 23, 24 dollars per hour for students.
What are the unique advantages of studying with Charlton Brown?
With Charlton Brown, as I've said, aside from placement and all that stuff, all the trainers here, we all are working in the industry. So we can provide like up-to-date knowledge of what's going on in aged care. And for example, with the recent announcement from the government about the PR pathway for aged care, we get to know all these things. There's also a proposed wage increase from the government. And if you are not working, or if you're up to date and not working in the industry, you will have no idea what's going on. There are also terms in aged care, for example, that are being updated and changed every now and then. So if you're not aware of this, you might be teaching the wrong information to your students, and when they go for a placement, they'll be like, what's this? Oh, we haven't used this term since like 2 years ago. So if you're current, if you know what you're doing, you're up to date, then you are providing the same information to your students. So when they go into placement, they are also aware of what's the current happenings in the industry.
So I know you've talked about you use simulation and practical lessons during the classes. Just a couple questions in regards to the assessments for the students studying those courses.
Yep.
How's the assessment like? Is it like, do students perform in a simulation kind of environment, or do they just get to write a lot of assignments, or does placement will count a part of their assessment?
So in saying that, you have some of the assessments, or most of the assessments have two parts, parts A and B. Some would require a part C, which is the simulation. Then we have the part D, which is the placement. So part A would be about questions. You have discussed about terms in Asia, like for example, duty of care, what does dementia mean, all those things. So you have to answer them based, from how you learned it in class or from your readings. For part B, we have case study. We have a scenario, and then the students will be answering the questions based on what they think is. And then when we go into part C, that's where the simulation happens. We do it here, like for example, what we did. That's one example of simulation manual handling. So that the students need to be able to perform this correctly and properly to be able to proceed to placement. And normally the part C's, all of them are requirements for placement, but you have to be able to really pass your simulations. So that's what you will be doing when you go into the placement. And then you have your part D, which is your actual placement. So this happens towards the end of the course. The students would be going into placement for 3 weeks to complete 120 hours. Okay, Monday to Friday, they will be doing morning shift and afternoon shift, combination of both. Okay, and then so it's different. You do things differently in the morning, different routines, different demands, and also in the afternoon. So different kinds of experiences. Yeah. Okay. So you have all those components that the student need to be able to pass to be able to proceed to placement, and then eventually get their certificate.
And just one last question from me. So extending on the question that Grace has asked about working and wages. So we know that people who want to study those certificate courses might wonder what is the difference of what an RN do and what an AIN do in aged care facilities. Can you just tell us the difference between the job roles?
I'll start first maybe with what's the similarity. Okay, both will be working on the floor. So you have your AIN and then you have your nurses working together, for the clients. In the aged care setup, your nurses will be your team leader or your supervisor. Okay, so the AINs, they all report to the nurse. If there are certain tasks that the AIN can't perform anymore, like for example, wound care or medications or nursing stuff, then that's when they will be calling the nurse. So difference with the workload, AIN will be more of hands-on. They will be the one providing cares, your showers, activities of daily living. So they'll be working most of the time with the clients. As with the nurse, they're still going to be working with the clients, but different role. So more for nursing stuff, like for the medication, for the wound care. Sometimes the nurse would also be talking to family members, okay, in terms of what is they think the client needs or what is being observed by the ANs of the client. So they all work together hand in hand. As a nurse, they can do AN roles as well. That's part of their training too.
네, 찰튼브라운의 에이지드케어 관련해서 궁금하신 점 있으면 플러스친구로 문의주세요. 그럼 찰튼브라운에서 만나요.